has a better squad going into the World Cup than Ronaldo. So let's move on to which team, for Messi or for Ronaldo, does this World Cup mean more for their legacy?
That's a question.
That is a big question. Well, I mean,
so you have Argentina, right? We think is a better team, so we would almost lean to the fact that Argentina should go further, right? So with that kind of level of expectation, is this World Cup mean more for Messi or for Ronaldo for their overall legacy?
I mean, this is going to be forever the $1 million question, right? Like, do you have to win a World Cup to, be one of the most, famous or the legends of the game, right? When we talk about the first, two a top player in the world that's ever played, it's always going to be Pele. He's won the World Cup. Diego Maradona has won the World Cup. But then when you think about beyond these two players, in history, which player, who would you put as the third or fourth best player? In Zizou. and I mean, he got sent off in the World Cup final, so that
he also won one.
But I mean, like it's tough, right? And I think I know I'm wearing a Dutch shirt, but you talk about the legends of the game that's never won a World Cup. Look at Johan Cruyff. Do we talk about him as much as we talk about Diego Maradona? We probably not. So, I mean, both of these players, I mean, in our generation, we're going to talk about these two guys for the rest of our lives. But, for the generations that come along, are we going to talk about these two guys, the way we talk about Pele and Maradona, unless they win a World Cup? Most likely not. We sometimes forget that football is a team sport. You can be the best. Like, imagine if Ronaldo wasn't Portuguese, right? Imagine if he was from, I don't
Norway.
know, Norway or Jamaica, right? Like, they're not going to make it into the legacy is not going to be the same. So it's a tough hill to climb on this one. I think the added the fact that it's not really a big favorite to win the World Cup this time. Every team is kind of struggling on their own little front. So it might open up for, in Argentina or a Portugal who we're never really favorites to win the World Cup, to maybe even win one. But I gotta say, like, if either one of these teams win the World Cup, it will solidify that they are better than the other. The argument of Messi versus Ronaldo will end if either one of them win the World Cup. I think I that's how I see it.
Well, that just gave me chills. Yeah. What a crazy tournament going in, both their last ones again. But I have to say Messi, to answer your question, and back to again what you were saying, with him having a stronger squad. I think Ronaldo has kind of had the luxury of, no one really expects Portugal to win a World Cup in his lifetime. Like, they weren't thinking that. I don't think they've been favorites going into any World Cup that he's participated in, and him winning a Euro was huge for his legacy. They shouldn't have won that, I'll be honest, but they did. And no one's going to remember why that Eder came on and scored a fluke goal in extra time. But yeah, Messi has always had the stronger argument. I think most people can agree for being better than Maradona and better than Pele. He's been in that GOAT argument more, I think, from more people. And I think him winning a World Cup is huge, like Kester was saying. Yeah, sports are tough. Like, you get forgotten so easily unless you're truly, truly the best. And yeah, I think Messi really knows that in the back of his head, and he's gonna play his heart out to try to win one in his last final try.
Yeah, to piggyback on both of what you guys said. So Portugal, for me, who is the best Portuguese player of all time? You had the likes of Figo and Carvalho, but do they ever really stack up to Ronaldo in any capacity whatsoever? I don't think so.
Figo, no.
Probably Figo is the only one that can even be in the same sentence as Ronaldo.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's clear cut. Ronaldo is the leader of that team. He has been since, he took really the mantle over from Figo in 2002, 2003. And so Whereas in Argentina, for Messi, it's almost split. It's almost the same kind of debate when you talk about Messi and Maradona. Especially when you're talking to anyone from Argentina, they almost all go with Diego Maradona purely because of the World Cup debate. And so I think for his legacy on the world stage, but especially in Argentina, it would be more important for Messi to win this than for Ronaldo to win it, because I think in their home country, it's very.
But you can flip
decided.
that around, I guess, and go off what Kester is saying. Like, if Ronaldo wins this, like, how can you say that Messi is better than Ronaldo? Like no one is expecting anything from like that Ronaldo will win this. But if he does, like, that's, I mean, you can argue, you can flip what you're saying. Like, that could, like, all of a sudden, like, he's the GOAT. Like, like, honestly, like, that's huge. Winning a World Cup is a huge deal, and I'm not saying that lightly. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
Will it depend on how they win it as well? We look at how Portugal won the Euros, drawing every single game, like you mentioned, finishing third in the group even, and only because they changed the rules right before that tournament that they were even allowed to advance to the knockout stage, continued to tie throughout the entire thing, playing the likes of Wales in the semifinal, and then beating France in the final in extra time. Will that impact how we see Ronaldo and Messi if they win? If Messi plays poorly, but let's say they don't concede any goals with how great that defense is playing, with the energy that they're playing, Di Maria comes out with another great goal like he did against Switzerland, or against France, for example, and they win the World Cup, will it matter how they win it as well, or is it just the fact that if they win?
No, I don't think it's going to matter how they win. I mean, no, it's just whether if you win or not, and not how you win. And Jacob, honestly, like I'm actually really impressed that you remember who scored in that Portugal final, because I don't remember who that
Lord
is.
Eder, dude.
nor do I know where he is right now. I mean,
that guy sailed off into the sunset after that game.
But I mean, to go back to the argument on in their home countries, the legacy in their home countries. We also have to look at the career that each of these players had, right? Ronaldo was made in Sporting Lisbon. He came through the ranks in Portugal. Messi went to play in Barcelona when he was 11 or 12. That was the biggest difference, not just as an Argentinian player, but I think as a South American player, where most players who are local heroes, they made their name big locally first and then moved off to Europe. Whereas Messi might be the one and only player that made his name in Europe before he had anything to do with Argentina. I think that's the biggest difference between Argentinians seeing the likes of Diego Maradona versus him. I think so that's, I like, personally, I think it's a little bit of a biased argument. I understand it, but it's not. I don't necessarily think it's a good comparison, to say, in their individual home countries, who's the biggest hero. But we talk about Portugal not deserving to win that Euro. I absolutely agree. But then Messi winning a Copa as well. He was at one point. I feel like the is it CONCACAF or no, whatever the South American CONMEBOL. I feel like CONMEBOL was just creating these tournaments just so Messi can win it.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
Right?
They played like 3 in 4 years or something.
Yeah, let's make a centennial and let's move it to the United States.
That was insane. I went and to me, like, the Messi, I wouldn't say he lost all his legacy. Oh, he's a great player. He's the greatest. He's one of the greatest of all time. But when he missed that penalty against Chile in New Jersey, I think that was where he kind of lost the argument on, hey, he carried his team to winning a tournament. Like truthfully, I can care less about Argentina winning their Copa. I think that was like the one that was, I see it as a friendly more than anything. So both sides, both teams, both players have a situation where they won a tournament for their countries that didn't really make any sense. So yeah, I think the World Cup is going to be absolutely huge, or even just to the final. Who knows?
Yeah, well, luckily for all of us dreamers out there, we can dream of the perspective of a Portugal-Argentina final in the World Cup. So just to go quickly here through how the World Cup is set up. We've already gone through the draw phase and all that kind of stuff. And please check out our former videos as we do go into the depth of the World Cup. But the way that it works quickly here, you got 8 groups of 4 teams. Everyone plays each other one time, 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw. The top 2 teams will advance. If there are any tiebreakers, it goes to head-to-head and then goal difference. And so we can see in Group C in the top left here, you have Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. The winner of that group will stay on that side of the bracket. Whereas if you go to the bottom right, we see Group H, Portugal, Senegal, Uruguay, and South Korea. The winner of that group will stay on that side of the bracket. So therefore, we could potentially have a Messi, Argentina versus Ronaldo, Portugal in the World Cup final to really decide this for everyone. Do we see this happening in your guys' opinion?
No,
I mean,
it's
no,
not
I
gonna
mean,
happen.
like
But could
they
you
no.
imagine if it did? Oh my
No.
God, the media is begging for that to happen. Like, that would be huge. There'd be so much buzz. Oh my God, that would be Christmas for me. But that's not gonna happen. I would bet everything I
The only
own
winner
that
will be
doesn't happen.
Qatar, the country of Qatar,
Right,
to have
exactly.
to have Messi and Ronaldo play in a final
Oh
for the
my
World
God.
Cup. But
Could you imagine the ticket prices for that one? Holy cow. Oh my God.
you probably have to sell some blood in your kidney to make it to the game. But I think we're before we get ahead of ourselves, I think the first question is, will Argentina and Portugal top their group going out into the knockout? Because if either one messes up and then they move out of the group second rather than first, then you already this is already messed up. This already is not going to happen.
Yeah, especially when you look at who they would play. So, like Kester mentioned, if you finish second in the group, you go to the opposite side of the bracket where you will play a first place team from another group. If you win your group, you will play a second place team from that same group. In Argentina's case, the group that they are paired up with is Group D, which contains France. So if you're Argentina, you want to win your group because you expect France to win their group. And that way you will avoid France. For Portugal, that group that they are paired with has Brazil in it. So if you finish second in your group as Portugal, you will most likely be playing Brazil in the first knockout stage. And if you do that, it'll only get harder from there. So you definitely want to win your group. Let's start off with Group C here. Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. Do you see any trouble, though, for Argentina being able to get out of this group and hopefully avoid France?
I don't think Mexico is as good as they were compared to the years before, even though, whenever the Mexicans play, it's always going to be a hard game. It's always going to be a hard game.
No era penal!
Or
That's
Guillermo Ochoa, or Guillermo Ochoa in Mexico. But no, I think Argentina should get out of the group fine, given that against Mexico or in Poland, they play what they need to play. But both of those teams are really good teams. I actually see Argentina struggling to get out of their group first more than Portugal, purely because how on the other countries. Portugal's truly only a real threat is Uruguay, whereas Argentina actually has two teams that they can lose against. So.
Wow. Kester saying Group C is more difficult than Group H with Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and South Korea. Jacob, you agree with that? You agree with this?
I actually disagree with that. I think Group H is a little bit stronger. I don't see Portugal or Argentina struggling to get first or second in their groups, but I think like South Korea could maybe just score a couple and Portugal can't outscore them. Ghana plays their hearts out every time they're in the World Cup. I can see some weirdness happening in Group H, just historically. those teams have been strong when they play. I'm not high on Poland. Lewandowski might get a goal here or there. I'm not so high on Poland. I think Mexico is better than we think they are. I see the intuition that they're not as good with like Guardado getting a lot older and but their last CONCACAF, you have to remember they played their U23 squad. I think that's swaying our opinion of them because the US won that one. I think Mexico plays Argentina pretty hard. But I think Argentina historically has been able to always beat them. Argentina just knows how to beat Mexico. I don't know what it is in the World Cup. I'll never forget that Crespo goal back in 2010. Yeah, I think Group H is a little bit stronger. Again, like I said, I think both teams advance. It's just whether or not they get second. Second in Group C and Group H is a death sentence. Like Brazil and France are the favorites to win the tournament, in my opinion. Like either one of them. France probably, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see with injuries for France. Seems like everybody is going down there, but they do have Benzema and Kylian Mbappe, so it really might not matter at the end. Portugal, I don't know when the last time they won a group was, like 2006 maybe? I mean, it was the last time they finished third when they went on to win the Euros. They got bounced, I think, in 2014 in the group stage. 2018, I think they finished second maybe. Or in the last Euros, they finished second.
The U.S. advanced.
Yeah, exactly. The U.S. advanced over them with Germany. Group with death, but still. So Portugal, for some reason, they just struggle with groups. And with Ghana, I agree with you. It seems like Ghana is always carrying the flag for the African teams there in the World Cup, especially, even though I don't know when the last time they won the African Cup of Nations was, but it's for some reason Ghana in the World Cup just always seems to make it the furthest. I think they can cause problems. Uruguay, with the style of play that they have, yes, they have a bunch of older players, but I think that they can cause some problems as well. So I agree. And especially, let me just put this out here. Mexico finished behind Canada. Okay? You can say all you want about the Gold Cup and all that kind of stuff. And they finished behind Canada in actual qualifying, okay? The U.S. finished behind both of them in actual qualifying, so we can talk about that a whole nother time. But they finished behind Canada, okay? So really, this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a team that finished behind Canada, Saudi Arabia, who's just happy to be there, who also tied the U.S. recently. We'll get into that later as well. Yeah. And Poland, who is literally Uruguay with less talent. Okay, they're old and they just are. They got Lewandowski, but then after that, what are we working with? And so I have to go with Group H being tougher, and I think Argentina, who will be able to take care of business in their group. Especially, it always seems like Messi just scores a bunch of free kicks in the group stages anyway. So, just start up 1-0 on all three of these teams. 3 free kicks for Messi. You heard it here first. 3 goals for Messi, 3 free kicks, 1 against each team in the group stage, and Argentina will advance in this one. I don't know. That's just how I'm feeling. And I think you're right. I think if Portugal finished second in this group, I think Brazil is personally one of the favorites, if not the favorite, for the World Cup with that front line that they have. And so I think that'll be the end of the road for Portugal. But I would love to see it. An Argentina versus Portugal final, I think, is something that we just need. I think we just need it because how beautiful would that be? Absolutely fantastic. It kind of sucks because we just had the what did they call it? The something Isimo, where the champions of Europe played the champions of South America. This is like a new thing now that you play for a trophy. And it sucks that it was this year's edition because Argentina was in it from this side, but it was Italy now from Europe instead of Portugal, who were the previous Euros winners. So that would have been a great matchup to see them play. But maybe they knew that they were going to play in the World Cup final, so we were just waiting for that. All right. So with all that being said, all of that coming together, we went through the Argentina team, Portuguese team, the chances, the legacy, and everything like that. So from you guys right now, who is making it further in the World Cup and why?
I'm going to go with Portugal, but with a given that they win their group. because I think their side of the bracket is easier, and that's probably the only reason why. You know, we see, on the right hand side, right? You have they're what they probably who do they play? They play 1H plays 2G, so they play the second in the group of Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon, which I don't really think if these teams are being put into any group, they're going to even get out of the group stage. And then you have on the other side Belgium, Croatia, Canada, Morocco. I don't think any of those teams are good enough to beat Portugal. I mean, Croatia, I know they were second in the World Cup last time out, but this is a whole new ball game. The guys that really played and are still playing are all well into their 30s. They don't really have a lot of new guys coming through. So, and Belgium just always never clicks. They're a team of just individuals. So I don't really see them. But that's the only reason why. Just because they have an easier bracket, not necessarily because they're better than Argentina.
So based on that, you have Portugal in the semifinals.
I do have Portugal in the semifinals. I think they will beat whoever. I mean, again, if they get out the group first and they don't play Brazil, they're gonna beat whoever's second in Group G, and then they're gonna beat whoever is in Group F or even Group E, like Germany or Spain. Neither of those teams are in very good form. So I actually have them in the semis. They'll probably either lose to France or maybe even
the
England.
U.S. I agree. They never play well against the U.S. So the U.S. wins their group. They will be there. So I agree. U.S. v Portugal in the semifinal, and Portugal's just going to miss out. I agree. Jacob, what are your thoughts on Portugal making the semifinal?
I don't see it happening. I think Belgium or Croatia will beat them if they both advance. If they're lucky enough to get first, which I don't think is a given. I think if they get second, like I said, it's a death sentence. Brazil will stomp them, and I don't see Ronaldo playing too many World Cup games left in his career. It's sad to say. I want him to go far. I think Argentina, if I had to pick one, will go farther. I think they're in similar positions, though. It's going to be tough for either one of these teams to go that far. Netherlands is going to be tough if Argentina are lucky enough to win their group. But if everyone gets first, Argentina, Netherlands, Portugal, and Belgium or Croatia, that's a toss-up. I would give a slight edge to Argentina winning that game than Portugal winning a tough round of 16.
Kester, okay, let's move over. You have Portugal in the semifinals. Let's go give you the other side of this argument. Like Jacob said, it's most likely that Argentina is going to win their group. I think and Netherlands will win their group. So Netherlands are unbeaten in 16 games. Their last loss came in the beginning of 2021 against Croatia. So is that an easier game or a harder game? Argentina versus Netherlands or Portugal versus Belgium/Croatia?
I think it's Argentina's not going to beat the Netherlands. Like, it's just, I know it doesn't sound popular. There's not a lot of Dutch players that are, very glamorous or have the title that Messi, Ronaldo.
Virgil van. Okay, sorry to interrupt. I'll let you finish that sentence before
anybody on that team. The matchups are also going to be quite weird, right? You're going to have Messi play against Dali Blind, which doesn't really make any sense if you really think about the Dutch beating the Argentinians. But I still have the Netherlands winning Argentina. I mean, I was actually at the game between Netherlands and Belgium in the UEFA Nations League. And like we talked about this before too, like they click. None of those players are really standing out over another. They might struggle for goals, they might struggle for a little bit of creativity and flair in the final third, but they really click with each other. They know how to play with each other. The traditional Dutch football kicks in. Everybody is one touch, two touch pass. They keep the ball very well. Belgium were not even close to coming to winning that game. And they played their full squad. They had Kevin De Bruyne on there. They had Lukaku was missing that game. But no, they played a full squad.
He played, right?
Yeah, he played, or we thought he was there, but he doesn't really seem like he was there. But like the Dutch really just click, and that's actually the reason why I have Portugal beating Belgium, because I just don't think they're playing as a team. I just don't think they're good enough. The players that they have are all from last year. There's really not a lot of new blood coming through. And yeah, the Dutch is gonna beat the Argentina, given that if both of them are winning their group.
Yeah, surprising from the Manchester United fan with the Ajax coach and half of the Ajax players and the other Ajax players linked with them and the former Manchester United players on the Dutch team that you are picking the Dutch to go further in the tournament, but we'll leave that for another day. I mean, 16 games.
I also live in Amsterdam. You forget the most important part, right?
Yeah. Lives in Amsterdam as well. We saw this in 2010. Spain went undefeated, I think, in like 36 games leading up to the World Cup. Obviously, we saw what they did in the previous Euros, winning that, and then the next Euros winning that. Something that no one had done before. And then we saw Italy as well, undefeated in about 30 games themselves, going into the World Cup, or into the Euros, right? Undefeated for 30 games, and they were just, Jorginho in the midfield there, just controlling play, and they were just able to out possession and just destroy everyone through their Euros run. And I think it's a big part of this, being able to have an identity, play cohesive together. We've seen that with Arsenal this year, right? I don't know that anyone would take a lot of the Arsenal players and put them in any other club team of the top six, or for their national team actually getting a starting spot. Who on Arsenal is going to start for their national team?
Ben White.
Ben White. That's just because everyone else is injured. That's the only reason why.
Maybe
he's going to play right back,
but maybe not. It's not even.
Maybe, yeah. I don't see how Jesus could start with Firmino.
Yeah,
the form
probably
that he's
not.
in as well.
He'll get some minutes.
That's my point. Yeah. But who's top of the Premier League? Arsenal. And why? Because they are playing cohesive. They know how to play. They play well with each other. And I think that really translates and is hard to reproduce on the national stage when you have all these players come from different club teams. And the Netherlands, like I said, being composed of half that Ajax team that went to, should have went to the Champions League final if it wasn't for Lucas Moura, and the other half played for Manchester United, I think it just blends perfectly well. And so I think that they are going to be a problem for Argentina in that round. And I think Portugal, it's like a 50-50 for me whether they're going to advance first or second in their group. The problem that I have with picking them to advance second is I cannot pick a team to advance first. That's kind of where I'm running into the problem there. So I will give Portugal winning their group. And so that will set them up. I think they will take care of business there. And then I think they both run into a problem at the same stage, and that is either against the Netherlands or against Belgium and Croatia. And I just think that all three of those teams have a little bit more in them to give them a tougher test. It's tough.
Don't forget,
it's really tough.
One of Spain and Germany is going to play against Belgium or Croatia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So you also have to think about that, right? Portugal might not be playing Belgium and Croatia. They might be playing either one of Spain and Germany. Most likely, I think it will be Germany, but yeah, I still think Portugal has the edge.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Because Spain or Germany will probably beat Belgium and Croatia. Like either one of them, I definitely think, like if I just had to pick one, Spain, second place of Group E is stronger than all of Group F. I'll put it like that.
Also a good point. I just think that any four of those teams, then, if you want to throw them all together against Portugal, is definitely going to be a tough test for them. But I do think that the Netherlands are up there in like my top 3 or 4 favorites to win this whole thing with the way that they're playing going into the tournament. And I think the group stage is just going to be more of the same for them. I don't know that anyone is giving them, any team in this, a chance against the Netherlands to finish top of this group. It's going to be very comfortable. They should get 3 from 3 in that one, get some good rest as well going into the knockout stage.
Can I just say one thing about Group E or Group F?
Yeah.
Imagine being Japan. Like, you're in Group E, probably the group of death. If you advance, if you're lucky enough to get second, you play Belgium or Croatia. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't matter
if you're in
where
Group
you
E or
advance
Group
it.
F, you feel like the tournament
They also lost to
organizers.
Belgium. They lost to Belgium. They got knocked out by Belgium last World
In
Cup
the
too, I
Euros.
think.
Oh,
In
yeah.
like the
Lukaku,
100,
the Lukaku
Oh, yeah.
goal. Yeah. It was like the 91st minute.
118th
Oh,
They're
minute
up
yeah.
or something like
2-0.
that.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
memory. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was a great game. I think. Oh no, it was Dembele with the last goal for Belgium, right? That
No, it was
sweeping
Lukaku.
counter attack. It was Lukaku. Oh, I thought it was. I just
I'm-
remember that Dembele goal, like the tapping at the back post, like counter attack from Belgium against Japan. There, yeah, what a great game that was. That's fantastic. Belgium also beat Portugal in the Euros last time around, but have, as Kester mentioned, got smacked 4-1 and 1-0 against Netherlands in the last two times that they played earlier this year in the UEFA Nations League. So the Netherlands, for me, out of all, if you want to put all five of those teams in a bucket, I'd take the Netherlands over any of them, which is why I think Argentina has the harder test at that stage. So I will lean Portugal, making it further purely because Netherlands is in the way for Argentina as it stands now. And the interesting thing too is France has a lot of injuries, so we'll see who makes it. But you slip up. We also seen it with Germany after they won the World Cup, get bounced at the group stage. Spain after they won the World Cup, I think also bounced at the group stage in the next World Cup. So we'll see if France has a similar hangover, at least enough to allow. It's hard to say Denmark, Australia, or Tunisia to win the group. I can't even say that with a straight face, but maybe it could happen. We'll see, and that would put France against Argentina in the first knockout stage. And we'll see how healthy France is, but that would be a tough test as well. We talk about Portugal playing Brazil. What if Argentina has to play France, even if Argentina wins the group? All right. Well, there we go. There we have it. Argentina with the better team, the better squad, the more energy, arguably an important legacy, more important for the legacy for Lionel Messi. And yet we have Portugal going further. So that's just kind of how the World Cup works, I guess. But I would like to thank Jacob and Kester for joining me here on our first real big episode here for the World Cup series on the webcast. We got a lot more coming for you, so stick with us as we go through not only the U.S., but the other teams as well, leading up to the World Cup, only 25 days away. Before we go, guys, what are you looking forward to most in the World Cup in 25 days?
Truthfully, the World Cup doesn't start for me until the 1st of December, purely just because.
And why is that?
And why is that? Because I'm heading to Qatar. So I think the World Cup for me starts there. So yeah, I'm not even thinking about any of the group stage games. I'm not even thinking about anything. I actually hope that the best team makes it out of those groups, because most of what I'll be watching will be knockout games, round of 16 and a round of 8. So yeah, I mean, I know it's always going to be the atmosphere is going to be fantastic. Giving the World Cup as well, it's going to be very concentrated. I think there's only a total of 9 stadiums, and 8 of them are in Doha. So it's going to be very concentrated. Everybody's going to be at the same place. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. But yeah, I just hope the best team makes it out of the group, just so I can watch the best games coming out into the knockout stages. And when I mean the best team winning, I don't mean like, oh, Brazil has to win their group. I mean, if there is a team that is good enough to beat Brazil, then I would like to see those teams, right?
Well
like
said.
rather than just having a BS a goal that was given that was probably not supposed to be given, and then and then the groups get all messed up because of that. So World Cup for me starts in a little bit more than 25 days, but oh man, I think I'm more than excited for this.
Yeah, I'm jealous, man. I have to give you 2 answers for that question because there's just so much to look for. I'll narrow it down to 2. First, Leo Messi, last World Cup. I can't wait to watch him. And USA's back in the World Cup. If we make out of the group, I will be ecstatic. That's all that I want. I can't wait to watch them again. I can't wait for the World Cup. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's it. And we got a lot more World Cup coverage coming for you. And that is what I am looking forward to the most, is giving you guys all of the content leading up to the World Cup in these next 25 days, including Christian Pulisic. Has he caught back form? Find out what we think here at the webcast with him getting some more time there at Chelsea and trying to carry that into the World Cup. We will definitely have Kester and Jacob back with us, so stick tuned. Later to Wednesdays, we do Premier League as well, so come and join us for that. Until next time, we will see you later.